Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the president of United in Peace, Inc. I'm also the host of the Bradley Report, and I'm known as the urban translator. But more importantly, I'm a community activist and an advocate against senseless violence, be it police officers killing blacks, but especially African Americans shooting and killing one another. It's going to be a very important show today. As you know, today, October 16th, is the 25th year anniversary of the Million Man March. I was blessed by God to be there. I'm going to be on the panel later on tonight, dealing with other brothers from around the country that was there. We're going to talk about the 1994 crime bill. I heard former Vice President Joe Biden, the Democratic candidate for president, make mention of that bill and said he was sorry it was the wrong bill. We're going to talk about that, or I'm going to show you so you can look, listen, and learn. It's important to me because Reverend Jackson had took me and others as a part of his delegation to go and meet with Bill Clinton to advise him and to plead with him not to support that 1994 crime bill. It was a meeting in the Oval Office. It was the day before he gave his State of the Union address. I believe it was January 24th that we met, 1994. We're going to get in there. I'm going to show you because it's important during this pandemic that we know our history so that we can pass it down to our children and grandchildren. As you know, early voting is very important. All across the country, people coming out to vote. I'm going to show you that. So with no further ado, let it be known to you that this show is made possible by the chairman of United in Peace, Inc. She's the producer, the director. She helped put the issues together for me to share it with you. And with the help of Brother Omari, we're going to make it do what it do. So I want to say, to God be the glory. This is our story. Let's go to work, Omari. If you pick up that gun and you fire that gun, anyone that get harmed from you firing that gun, that's an innocent bystander. We asking the community, ostracize them, push them out, don't let them hide anywhere, don't support them, and let law enforcement do their job. The code is this. If you pick up that gun to solve your problem, I'm not endorsing violence. I'm saying you're violating the code if you discharge that weapon and innocent people get shot or killed, especially a child or an elderly person. And the community must uphold that code.
He got a shoe shined.
The reason that it worked in the 90s, because everyone was a part of it. Kids, women, elderly, was off limits.
You didn't touch him.
Didn't touch them. By ostracizing from the community, pushing you out of the community, not supporting you in the community, or protecting you in the community.
so that law enforcement can do their job by apprehending. And the Cook County State's Attorney can do her job by making sure that you get a fair prosecution. This is so that there's no retaliation in the community because you discharge or you fire that weapon at your intended partner.
We all got to come together. Those of you, my name is Wallace Gator Bradley. I'm the urban translator, and I'm the president of United Peace, Inc. We all got to come together to let it be known that Black lives matter everywhere. Regardless if a police shoots somebody that's black, it means twice as much to our community when someone black is shooting someone black.
With at least 8 children under the age of 10 shot in the city in just 2 weeks, some are asking if that code still carries any weight.
This is something that we got to do.
Gator catches up with some friends on Calumet.
That 1-year-old that got killed.
His conversations of late have focused on kids getting shot. He says the rule still applies.
We as men got to put it down and say, that still exists and never left.
We all got a responsibility.
We all got a responsibility, man.
But it never left.
I'm putting a call out to all the brothers. You know what we do. Put the word on the street that this is no longer tolerated. Me and Holmes work together and we know how it works. We've been able to help individuals turn themselves in of the community, kick them out for law enforcement to come and arrest them. Now is the time. Just like it was the video from Miss Frazier that let everybody know about the awakening of George Floyd. Somebody got a video, or we need to use our videos to stop this senseless violence.
And I believe that vengeance belongs to the Lord. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. And that's my story.
You know, today, we're 18 days from an election that's very powerful. I show that, let people know that I am purposefully focused and positioned by the grace of God to do what I do. There's an election that's just as important in Cook County as the election of the next president of these United States. That's why I voted early. And yeah, I'm true blue. Straight, pure, unapologetically Democrat. With his faults. But there's an election in this town, in this county, for state's attorney. And I'm appealing to the voters of Cook County who did the right thing, and so did I. Elect her, voted in the primary, to re-elect her, to make her the Democratic candidate against not just a man from the Republican Party, but to keep her as the state's attorney against what was once known as the most corrupt state's attorney's office for decades. From the time when Hanrahan was state's attorney dealing with bad police officers that were responsible for the killing of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark from the Black Panther Party. They murdered them. To Daley, who had became mayor, but when he was the state's attorney, he let corrupt police officers, John Bird's crew, that was torturing innocent African American men. To Dick Devine, continuation of the cover-up, even after Mayor Daley, even after former state's attorney Daley had became the mayor. To cover up the police torture, wrongful police conduct of assistant state's attorneys, to Anita Alvarez, who we, as the people in Cook County, made the decision to elect Kim Foxx. Now O'Brien is running against Kim Foxx. O'Brien, that was responsible for the wrongfully prosecution of 4 individuals. I'm gonna let you see. There's an ad that's out. Yeah, go up some more. I want the people to see this ad. I'm gonna stop talking and let them look at it. Go up some more. Up some more. It's a video right there. That's the video right there. Let's hit that. So
I'm sitting down at O'Brien office. I'll never forget what this man told me. Never. He said, "We know y'all ain't do this crime, but it's a white woman from Springfield. Somebody got to pay for this crime."
Patrick O'Brien secured 4 wrongful convictions.
He's running on a campaign that you got to look out for victims. And here this guy is running for office knowing that he sent 4 innocent teenagers to prison and allowed the killer of the victim to roam free.
I was facing death in that police station.
The police came in there with gloves on. They started beating me.
They had me in there first trying to break me.
And I was told, we gonna get a confession out you one way or the other.
Now, Patrick O'Brien, I was in the position to declare us innocent, but instead of doing that, they decided to allow the blood of this beautiful lady to be paid on us.
Patrick O'Brien cannot be the one to lead the criminal justice system in reform, because he's the one responsible for various wrongful convictions.
It's not just about this case.
Pat O'Brien has a record of wrongful conviction.
State's attorney should stand for fairness and justice and ethics. And that's what Kim Foxx represents. She actually represents integrity.
We have a person here that's willing to bring honor to the oath of office.
She'll give people a chance to better their life.
I refuse to lose hope in humanity. And I know that there are people out here that will do what they say they're gonna do. And Kim Foxx, I believe, is one of them.
And a lot of people that looking forward to justice, that deserve it, they'll see it with Kim Foxx in office.
You know, as everybody know, I'm an ex-felon. I was blessed to get a pardon with the help of Jesse Jackson, Jerry Butler, and others. I understand the importance of what the people of Cook County did when they elected Kim Foxx. So I'm saying, please, don't let this guy O'Brien come in like he ain't got dirt up under his nails. There's a lot of people that's down there in Stateville because of the nefarious things that the former state's attorneys has done and knew what was happening. They weren't, in my opinion, really concerned about the victims because they was wrongfully convicted individuals, leaving the people that was responsible for the murder of the victims still roaming the streets. And voting is very important all across the country. Lines after lines after lines of people lining up and waiting for hours, going to the polling stations. You got them, they had to open up one of the Atlanta sports facility for people to go in there and vote, especially in Georgia. And we know that President Trump and his supporters are trying to suppress the vote any way that they can, especially in Georgia. The guy that's the governor of Georgia now was the Secretary of State that's supposed to make sure that everything was right. Yet he has said so over the legitimacy of the election, and he was running for governor. With this pandemic that's happening, people here in Illinois and the county of Cook and my viewing audience around the country stay washed up, covered up, prayed up, go and vote early in person. People in Texas, we seeing how they trying to move the boxes or make one box for those that want to take their ballot in and put it in the drop box. You got California. They're the Republican Party and them are trying to put up bogus boxes for people to go and drop their ballots in. When the court has says, stop what you're doing, that's illegal. There's only one type of box there. That's an official ballot box for people because of the pandemic wanted to go in and put their ballot in the box after they received their ballot because they voted. No, they wrote in to their respective board of elections for them to mail them a ballot, and then they would fill the ballot out, put it back in the required envelope from their respectful board of election, and able to get in their car or go and drop it into this box. I know it works because my family vote, and I thank all of y'all for voting early. Those that went early like I did to vote, And those that's my family members, that when they received a ballot in the mail, they filled them out. They gave them to me. And here in Cook County, I went to Lake and Clark, I believe it's 191 North Clark Street, and put them in the box, one at a time. I didn't put all three of them in there together, one at a time. 1, 2, 3. I want to show you how serious it is in Georgia. Georgia voting lines show how much people want to vote. Trump poll watchers, they say, can't stop us. Bring it up some, Omari. Okay, right there. Balloting got underway in Georgia this week with predictability, long lines, and malfunctioning voting machines. That's inexcusable, but sadly, entirely unsurprising. Georgia has come to be seen as ground zero for voter suppression in the United States. Ground zero. And there's another problem looming: intimidation at the ballot box. President Donald Trump encourages his poll watchers to turn out at the voting precincts on Election Day at the first presidential debate last month. He urged the far-right extremist group, Proud Boys, the one that he told to stand by ahead of the November 3rd vote. I'm reading here where it says, I'm a long-time voting rights activist. Here's my advice to you. Ignore the president. Ignore his poll watchers. If you see them at the voting locations, they can't interfere with your right to vote. Understand that. If they interfere with your right to vote, they committing a crime. So use your Facebook Live, okay? As if I was in the line and they try to stop me, don't scream at them. Don't cuss them. Put on your Facebook Live and show that they are interfering with my right to vote. So people can see who they are, so that they can then, post-election, be arrested. Go up some more, Omari. Okay, that's good. Now, that is happening in Georgia. They say, we saw this play out in 2018 governor's race in Georgia between Stacey Abrams, the former minority leader in the state General Assembly, and Brian Kemp, who won the race and is now the governor, when the processing of 53,000 registration applications were held up. I told you earlier that he was, come on some more. Hit that video right there, Omari. Thanks, man. That's just a commercial. It's going to come through.
Poll watching or voter intimidation. President Trump told his supporters to, quote, go into the polls and watch very carefully. And the RNC has recruited thousands of poll watchers. But Democrats say they are encouraging voter intimidation. So which is it? NBC News national political reporter Josh Letterman shows us what's legal.
It's every county clerk's worst nightmare. Thousands of vigilantes showing up without warning on Election Day. Not to vote, but to watch, some of them armed, demanding that some people's ballots be thrown out. A tense situation in which some might not feel safe to vote. Poll watching, also known as observing elections, is legal in America. Intimidating voters is not. But comments like these raise fears the line could be crossed.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it.
Both Democrats and Republicans have long assigned poll watchers who make sure their party has a fair chance of winning.
There are nonpartisan election monitors, and then there are party poll watchers. All of them are there to ensure that the process goes smoothly and according to the law and fairly.
The nonpartisan ones are sent by good governance groups to be the public's eyes and ears, increasing confidence the election is fair. Nina Jankowicz has been an election monitor throughout Europe.
In Russia, I was up until 4 or 5 in the morning watching ballots getting counted at a regional office.
Poll watchers enlisted by political parties play a different role. They ensure their party's voters aren't denied the right to cast ballots. They may also challenge whether procedures are being violated, like ID requirements, or whether certain voters are eligible. But where does legitimate poll watching end and voter intimidation start? I asked Nevada's Attorney General Aaron Ford. After Trump's debate comments, Ford was so concerned about voter suppression, he put out a warning.
Where it's a felony to use or threaten to use any force, intimidation, coercion, any violence or any restraint or undue influence against people who are trying to exercise their constitutional right to vote.
If it happens to you, inform a poll worker, your state elections board, or the police.
And again, it's a felony in our state to do so. I will prosecute those, rest assured.
The laws on poll watching vary from state to state, but there are some basic do's and don'ts. The biggest, don't interfere with voting. If you see a problem, raise it only with the election officials. In 40 states and the District of Columbia, you must be formally accredited in advance. You can't just show up. What is the actual process you have to go through if you want to follow the rules and be a poll watcher?
They have to fill out a form that's going to attest to a few things. The first thing they have to attest to is that they won't even talk to voters in the polling place, let alone intimidate them. They can't use any mobile telephone devices or anything like that in the polling place. They can't advocate for or against a candidate, a political party, or any ballot question while they're in the polling location. They can't argue for or against or challenge any decision of the county or the city election personnel. They can't interfere with the conduct of voting.
It's been a problem in the past. In the 80s, the Republican National Committee started a group called the National Ballot Security Task Force. They sent off-duty police officers with armbands to patrol voting places in minority neighborhoods in New Jersey.
It had the impact of disenfranchising countless numbers of voters, but particularly Black and Hispanic voters, which is where these individuals were targeting.
Democrats sued under the Voting Rights Act, and the RNC agreed not to do it again. But in 2017, that agreement expired, raising fears the same tactics could be used this year. President Trump has talked about sending law enforcement to the polls, and his campaign has called for an army of Trump to poll watch on Election Day.
We need every able-bodied man, woman to join Army for Trump's election security operation.
Trump's campaign and the RNC say they're seeking about 50,000 volunteers.
We all know that the Democrats will be up to their old dirty tricks on Election Day to make sure that President Trump doesn't win.
Study after study has shown there's no widespread voter fraud in the U.S. by either party. But the militaristic tone being used by Trump's campaign is raising concerns about Election Day.
Are the laws the same across the country in terms of whether you can actually bring a gun to a polling place?
No, unfortunately they're not. There are only 6 states that broadly prohibit guns at the polls. There are 4 additional states that prohibit concealed carry at the polls, but not open carry. And there are a handful of other states that prohibit open carry at the polls.
If you do go to vote and a poll watcher challenges your ballot, remember, you have options. In almost every state, you can file a provisional ballot until things get sorted out. A backstop to make sure every eligible vote gets counted.
Now,
as the Republicans rush to confirm Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court before election.
Yeah, that's another thing. Why Trump is frantic to push that woman to become the Supreme Court judge. His pick, his choice, that's loyal to him. They be screaming about stacking the courts. When Trump and Republicans are stacking the courts. They got you, well, ask Biden, is he going to stack the courts? While you're asking Biden, is he going to stack the courts? They are stacking the courts. The Republican Party, up on Senator Mitch, made it where former President Barack Obama, when he had the chance to nominate someone to go to the Supreme Court, it's about 9 to 10 months before the next election. Mitch McConnell wouldn't call his nominee to the Senate floor to be voted on, and said then, and all the Republicans said then, they feel that the next president should make the decision on who should be on the Supreme Court. They stopped him from being able to put a Supreme Court judge on the bench. Fast forward, since then, Trump was able to put 2 Supreme Court judges on the bench. Now he's pushing to put a 3rd Supreme Court judge on the bench. And how he did it, he made sure Mitch McConnell wouldn't allow Barack Obama to get his Supreme Court judge on the bench. That's one. So when he came in, he was able to do that, Trump. Then he had another judge retire from the bench so that Trump can put a person who he wanted on the bench that was loyal to him. That's 2. And now Amy is number 3. He pushing to make sure he got 3 Supreme Court judges that's loyal to him. Not to the Constitution, that's loyal to him. So that they can vote to get rid of the Obamacare, which come up for a vote on November the 10th. Him and Mitch McConnell has pushed federal judges. They weren't even qualified to be judges. But they loyal to him. Over 30 individuals, federal judges. And now everybody know that Trump is a racist. He's talking about the Proud Boys. They want them to come there and they be armed and they coming. Then we see what happened with the other militias that think the same way that Trump is thinking, have been arrested, and I'm sure they're going to be indicted. As urban terrorists, domestic terrorists, because they had planned to kidnap the governor of Michigan. Because she was concerned about the health and the welfare of her constituents during this global pandemic. This ain't no conspiracy theory. People, you seeing it. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing. I was part of being, because of the NAACP, a part of international poll watcher during Nelson Mandela's election. Because in this country, you had a lot of people that was from South Africa that had resided in this country. And Chicago was one of the Midwest polling places. And the NAACP was part of the international poll watchers, and by me being a member of the NAACP, I was asked to be a poll watcher. So much Gator has done that he has to share, and I thank God for allowing me to share it, to let you know, to let the young brothers and sisters know. We got to stop killing one another. We got to love one another, because we never know the value of that person. Let's stop hating. Let's respect one's opinion. Let's be mad at one another, but let's not harm one another, because we have a difference of opinion. That's love. That's why I say don't choke. That's why I say vote. Come up high from the bricks. Everybody know me. That's by God to change my life around because of the help from individuals like my friend Larry Hoover. Gator, you got to go this way, man. You can't go the way that we once was going. You out. You can't get back into the antisocial behavior, man, that we had to grow up under. Vote, you got to vote. We can't let them stop us. We can't afford another 4 years of Trump and those that support him all the way to the Attorney General. And you saying that this man Trump would do anything to get reelected. He was doing anything as the president. So let me move on.
People divided cannot withstand this election. We need to come united. Voting matters.
Yeah, this is James Gibson, y'all. I'm coming out here for the first time in 30 years. I've been giving all my rights back to vote. I've been since giving my certificate of innocence. Kim Foxx came out and gave me an apology. You know what I'm saying? And I'm out here for early voting, man. You know, and this is a very important election. If you want to change what's going on, you got to vote. It's just like if you pray, don't worry. If you worry, don't pray. There's power in numbers, and we out here today to vote, man. And with that, man, y'all stay tuned. This is James Gibson. The first case in the country where they ever ruled that African American has been tortured, collaborated, and proved since the abolition of slavery. And with that, y'all come out and vote.
This is the only election that I ever saw that was clear cut. It's either you're for one or you're for the other. There's no middle ground, there's no gray area. There's no trying to figure out if one is slightly better than the other. You're either for one policy and against the other. So the thing is, when you come and vote, it's clear cut. So it shouldn't be no absentee votes. It shouldn't be nobody not voting, because what you stand for, what you believe in, is on both sides. It's either you're against one and for the other. So come out and vote.
It's time to get out there and vote. It's easy, it's quick, it's safe. They got every measure in place so you do not catch the COVID. So get out there and vote in person. Let's vote. Let's get it done.
Go vote. Please go vote. Everybody, please, everybody in the United States, please go vote. Don't choke, but vote.
And guess what, America? It's going to be my vote that counts.
Wallace Gator Bradley, the urban translator, the registered voter, the host of the Bradley Report. Today is a very important day, especially after watching that debate between President Trump and Joe Biden. I didn't waste no time to get out here and stand in line so I can early vote. I want to say you must vote or you can't argue. If you don't vote, you got a right to speak, but I ain't got a right to listen to you. Voting is very important. This election, I'm asking everybody to vote straight blue, straight Democrat. Retain everybody but Tunin. Especially retain Ori Paczynski, Illinois appellate court judge. And hey, make sure you vote to re-elect Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx. Make sure that you vote and re-elect Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. That's Gator story. Hey, Jerry, you want to tell the brother something? My man, that's what I'm talking about. That's my vote partner. Hey, bring somebody down like I did. Come on over here, man. Let them see who I brought down. Bring somebody down like I did to come vote. That way, you can vote twice. He's voting for himself. I'm voting for me. And we cousins, first cousins, is a family affair. You know, we can't stand to let people stand on the sideline. Okay? A lot of people coming out because they got a lot of mistrust. I want you to see this video right here. Hit that one right there, Mari. Yeah, hit that right there, Mari. Yeah, right there.
For me, I felt the same way in reference to not knowing whether or not putting it into the mail-in if it was going to actually go to where it needed to go, because there was a lot of, I guess you can say, for lack of better words, controversy with reference to whether or not they were going to, place it where it needs to go. So then for me, I felt like I needed to be in person to make sure that my vote counted.
Well, I wanted to stand in line because I wanted to make sure my vote was counted. Too many people have died and sacrificed for our right to preserve our democracy. And it's about we the people. It's not about anybody else, but we the people. And the people's voice needs to be heard. So I wanted my voice to be heard as one in tens of thousands of voters who have come out early to vote. So, no problem.
Well, I wanted to make sure that my vote was counted. The suspicions or the alleged suspicions around mail-in voting, never had those before, but pushed me to come out early.
Hello, sir. 1, 2, 3. But you're sitting next to your address and it's safe.
Serious? People are serious, and we better take it serious because it ain't about us. It's about our grandchildren. I want you to check this here and let you know how serious I am about the candidates and why you got to vote, especially for Ori Paczynski. Let's see this here, man.
I want to thank you, George, because what you've done is marvelous. Look at this.
That's Earl Washington.
And you have Ori Paczynski, who I didn't meet yesterday. As a matter of fact, I first read her at John Strozier with her back in 1968, when Aurelia was a young girl coming into the young Democratic politics, and John Strozier and I were old men just leaving. And we welcomed her into Democratic politics. She, in my opinion, is acceptable to everyone in this city. Someone said to me, well, she can't get black votes. Well, they don't look at history very long. When she ran for trustee of the Metropolitan Sanitary District, She got 42% of the votes she got in Chicago was from the black community, which represented better than 80% of the total vote. I don't know who said that she can't get black votes. It's just not true. We can do what we wish if we've got the material to work with. I think she's first rate. I think she'll do the job.
Come out and vote November 3rd, 2020 to retain Illinois Appellate Court Justice Aurelia Paczynski. When you get to number 201, punch yes, please. We need good judges to remain on the bench.
This is Aurelia Paczynski, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Wallace Gator Bradley. You know, I'm serious. I walk it like I talk it. You know what I mean? I ain't going to tell you to get out there and vote and invest in voting. I do. And any candidate that I'm supporting, I believe they're going to do the right thing. Because I know them. But don't get me wrong. I've helped elect others. I helped elect governors. And the reason that I do it and I stand on what I do, because it gives me the right to check them when they're wrong. But if you don't vote, you don't even have a right to gripe. Vote is our right to gripe and to check an individual when they're doing wrong. Now, this is October 16th, 2020, a global pandemic. But this is also the 25th anniversary of the March on Washington, the Million Man March. I went, friends of mine went, I met my brothers in Washington, D.C. I had my son with me, Watari, Marsh, young man with me. Black men came from all over the country and some from out the country into Washington, D.C. because Farrakhan had gave a call that it was time for 1 million black men. Hit that video right there. These are the brothers that celebrating the 25th anniversary today in New York.
The 25th anniversary of the Million Man March. 25 years ago today, black men from all over the country gathered at the National Mall in Washington for the historic Show of Unity. To mark the anniversary, the march crossed the Brooklyn Bridge to Foley Square. Organizers say the event highlights the way men of color in New York City and throughout the country are getting involved in their communities.
And you know, look at that now. Look at that. Show that picture right there. Yeah. Thanks, Warren. That was the mall. It was really 2 million African American men there. 2 million. And there were sisters there to see it. And they came together from a call because we networked with one another. The media didn't want to put it out there. The advertisement they get all the black men there and sisters that came there was because of something that we was raised on. The beating of the drums. What's the beating of the drums? Get up there, you ask. It was a thing that was known that when you say telephone, telegram, and telenegro. It was Christians, black and white, that didn't want it to happen. There were some Muslims that didn't want it to happen. Some elected officials, black and white, that didn't want it to happen. But it was time to happen. And on this anniversary, because I will be on a panel later on today, Because now we're in the world of Zoom with a whole bunch of other brothers from around the country that was instrumental in helping with the Million Man March. Brother Raheem Jenkins, Spike Moss, Sharif Willis, myself, Ben Chavis. And we need to let this be where we remind individuals that the reason that we went there wasn't for no candidate. It was because we was tired of seeing us as a people continuing to kill one another. It was about love. It was about love. We had to start loving one another. You can't ask someone else to do something for you and you killing each other. We killing each other. 25 years later, we still doing that. So I'm letting you know now, when I'm on the panel and they allow me my little 2 minutes or whatever it is, I'm going to say, let's make this 25th anniversary where we able to say this is what we want others to do to carry on the legacy. Because one thing that we didn't do, and you're going to hear that, a lot of people got businesses. A lot of black people got businesses. We pushed that. A lot of people got elected that was African Americans. We pushed that. And it happened. But we didn't instill or demand that they stay on the black agenda, not the minority agenda, the black agenda. That would made a difference in our lives. How we stood on that and demanded that. I personally believe, just my opinion, that we won't be having all this senseless shootings and killings in our community. Fast forward, we got a presidential election that's happening now. And I want to get into that because I heard it was 2 town hall meetings yesterday because it was supposed to have been a presidential debate between Biden and President Trump. But because Trump ended up with the virus that affected a lot of people in the White House and his inner circle and his family, and because he was belligerent at the first presidential debate between him and Biden, they decided, the committee made a decision that they wanted it to be viral because Biden was still infected, contagious as they would say. So Trump didn't want to be about the debate because his biggest worry, he really didn't care if Biden caught the virus or anybody else caught the virus. That was a foregone conclusion. His biggest worry was that if he went over his 2 minutes, they may have had the power to cut off his mic. Even though at the first debate they agreed to the rule that each one would have 2 minutes where it wasn't supposed to be interrupted. And we saw how that turned out. So he brought out the hospital, he wasn't going there. So Biden said, okay. The campaign said we're going to have a town hall meeting. And they said it's brotherly love. ABC did it. You know, they monitored whatever it is, whatever they do. It showed on ABC. Trump, people went to NBC and said they want to have a town hall meeting. So you had both of them having a town hall meeting. Biden said something There was a big issue when Hillary Clinton ran for president. It was the crime bill. Could you get that for me, Amari? Thanks, man. See, that was a Republican woman that asked that question. Good question. Thanks, Amari.
How do I register to vote?
When I heard that, it grabbed me because a lot of people in the rest of the Black Caucus supported that bill. Our Congress folks, first African American woman that was elected to the Senate. As you know, you may hear Kamala talking about her, Senator Curl Mosely Brown. We was instrumental in helping her to get elected from Illinois. During that time, they had me representing him and other leaders in different street organizations, and they had their members doing the same thing I was doing, and we formed United in Peace to make it where individuals can go across gang lines in order to go vote. No violence. It was important for us to help elect that African American woman, Curl Mosely Brown, to the United States Senate. Okay, that was after the death of Dantrell Davis. He was 92, 93, somewhere around there. She got elected. Jesse Jackson asked me to be a part of his delegation, along with others that he asked to be a part of his delegation, to go meet with President Bill Clinton the day before he gave his State of the Union address in support of that crime bill, to tell him that he shouldn't support that crime bill. He was worried because the Republicans was on this like Trump is on now. This law and order, stop the violence, all that, same script. Acting like they really concerned about African Americans and others when they're not. Clinton tried to out law and order the Republicans. So that's what they did. So when Hillary ran against Trump, Trump used that same tact that the Republican woman that was a Trump voter used at the town hall when she asked the question. Not a Democrat, not an African American, a Republican woman, Trump supporter. It worked in 2016. Hillary didn't have nothing to do with the decision that her husband did in 94. And they played off like it was the Democrats that locked up all African Americans when it was Ronald Reagan and them that had created that whole aura. When Nancy said, say no to drugs. So the blacks in the Midwest said, ain't no sense us voting. Or we ain't going to vote. If we going to vote, we're going to vote for Trump, or we're going to vote for change because Hillary's husband pushed the crime bill. So those African Americans and liberals and progressives that voted for Trump in the Midwest, like Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, that's how Trump got elected, with the help of the Russians. Feeding dissent and division. So he's trying to do it again. Wallace Gator Bradley, when Reverend Jackson had called me and said he wanted me to go to the Oval Office to come with him to meet Bill Clinton, I shared that conversation with my friend Larry Hoover. He said, man, Gator, come visit me. Don't come visit me. You got to go with Reverend Jackson so people can see the change that we have to do to go from a negative to a positive. Before there was a crime bill, before this, it was, man, that's wild. That same bill is what they used, Ronald Safer and all them, they broke the law to go in there. It wasn't to stop the sale of drugs or to stop the violence. It was to stop him from convincing individuals not to make the mistakes that he had made that got him locked up as he was trying to come down that steep hill from crime and disorder to being about order and seeking redemption for the crime that he committed. And if he didn't come out, for others not to follow him, he became a political threat because he was saving the lives of individuals and keeping them out of the system. He made them become civic-minded. It's important that you get registered to vote. So when he took his thing from, I'm giving you the history and the truth, verifiable, documentable truth. The ones that went down today because of the bogus laws, now that the laws have changed with the help of Barack Obama, when he pushed his law, the fast sentencing or whatever that was, he pushed the law in 2014. Then they wouldn't let it be retro to individuals that was locked up in the 90s under the bogus laws. So the conservatives and the liberals, the Fair Sentencing Act, or the First Step Act, however they want to call it, that Trump signed into law, he had to sign into law because it was going to become law anyway. Because 83 senators, Republicans and Democrats, signed the law. Was the one that pushed the bill. It was veto proof. So if he wouldn't have signed it, it was going to become law. Anyway, because he didn't have veto power to get rid of it. But it was conservative Dick Durbin and the guy, what's his name, Senator Grassley, I think it is, the Republican. The guy that's both of them on the Judicial Committee, Senate Judicial Committee, that's making the decision about if it's right for this woman to be pushed onto the Supreme Court. Because Trump and Trump and the Republican Party stacking the courts. And Republicans violating their promise of what they weren't going to do. And broken and pushing her so that Trump can have 3 conservative judges that's beholden to him. That's why you hear him pushing that the election going to be wrong, it's going to be bogus and all that. They're going to rig it, they're going to cheat so that he can get in the court system, praying that it rush up to the Supreme Court, and then the election is decided by the Supreme Court with 3 of the majority conservatives beholden to him. That's why you got to come out and vote. I get that man out of office. And the Republican that's with him out of office. These things I know because by the grace of God, He has put me into position to tell you what's happening. I never thought I would be in the Oval Office to meet with a president about the wrong things that was wrong with a crime bill that they're about to make into law. I never envisioned that a friend of mine, Larry Hoover, I was in the penitentiary with him, would be the one to say, man, Getty, you got to go. To be instrumental with 21st Century Vote, to help elect the first African-American woman senator. A friend of ours died, Blanche Manning, federal judge. I can tell you this story now. I was very instrumental in helping her to be appointed to the federal bench. Colonel Moses Brown, I just got elected. I think Democrat Simon was a senator. Colonel Moses Brown was a senator. They had a Democratic president. They controlled the Senate and the House. Ben Chavis was executive director of the NAACP. Lou Myers, great attorney, may he rest in peace, along with Blanche Manning, was the lawyer for the NAACP. And I went to them and said, hey man, from what I'm reading in the law, the senators, Democratic senators, have the right to nominate someone to be appointed to the federal court in the 7th Circuit. I went to her, I guess her chief of staff or her clerk, got her credentials, her resume and her paperwork, everything else, presented it to Ben Chavis for Ben Chavis to present it to Carl Moseley Brown and to Simon for them to present it to President Clinton, and she became a federal judge. You got to be civic-minded. You never know what God got in store for you. You got to have a righteous heart. (1994) or 2016 election, when everybody started saying, from Senator Bernie Sanders, he voted for it. Bobby Rush, Danny Davis, they voted for it. Then they all said they were sorry for what they did, just like what you just heard Biden just said. It was the wrong thing. Sorry. Explained it, what happened. I felt good in my heart that by the grace of God, he allowed me to stand with Jesse Jackson in the Oval Office, me with Bill Clinton, against that bill. I ain't lying. It's verifiable. It's a verifiable fact and document. Hey, Brother Mari, hey, bring that article down where it says Gator apologizes image of a gangbanger going straight. The date of this story is February the 18th, 1994. Gator Bradley apologizes image of a gangbanger going straight. Wallace Gator Bradley's trip to Washington to discuss crime issues with President Clinton was a big moment for the reformed burglar and stick-up man. I got my pardon in 1990. He arrived at the White House with Reverend Jesse Jackson and several other officials to brief the president before Clinton's first State of the Union address. Later that day, his eyes tired and his manner almost giddy, Bradley called a news conference in Chicago and triumphantly told reporters it was righteous. Can you bring it up a little more? Right there. The January 24th meeting with the world's most powerful leader, however, likely would not have happened without some help from Illinois' most powerful gang leader, Larry Hoover, a man whom Bradley had visited only 8 days before in a state prison. And I said, and I quote myself, he's the one who saw my potential before I did. That's when the two Southsiders were in Stateville Correctional Center in Joliet some 20 years ago. Bradley, by his own account, was war counselor and enforcer against disabled ran by King Ladd, who is still serving a sentence. He was serving a sentence for murder then, in 1994. That law, that crime bill, made it where they gave him 6 life terms. Today is October 16th, 25 years after the March on Washington. And by the grace of God, criminal justice reform, law of the land. And he's in court, and everyone is praying. Because the judge now can make a decision to give him a sentence that befitted the law for a drug case. Judges are doing that now because of the bill that Trump signed. It made it a law where they could go back retroactively for the crimes of individuals who was unjustly sentenced. Individuals, there was his rap partner was on the case. Judges has took life sentences away from them and gave them sentences that befit the crimes that they did, and they're out through the courts. So I ask everyone to join me, his wife, his children, grandchildren, his friends, to pray that God continue to give him mercy and grace, and that he touch the judge's heart, and that the judge grant his motion. I'm saying these things to say to you the importance of people having a right to vote in order to right wrongs, in order to show that they got a right to be redeemed, in order to show that the people believe in redemption. I told you earlier that I was a part of international monitoring, election monitoring of Mandela. Mandela was locked up 25 years or better. They put him in a place to break the rocks so the fumes of the rocks were killing. God wouldn't let that happen. I'm not saying Larry gonna get out if the man free him and he gonna run for president. I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you history and the manifestations of how God worked. The same man that wrote what he felt was a good crime bill to help stop the killing because of the crack epidemic. And as we know in history, it was Oliver North and the Republican Party and the Republican president, because of the Contra and the drug deals back then, getting money to furnish or pay for a war that Congress said was wrong. They paid for an illegal war with drug money. And they flooded our communities with the drugs. Google it. Just Google it. I got to wrap this up. I want to tell you, please come out and vote. That what I share with you is so you can share with others in order to make our children and our elders know, get out early and vote. Wash your hands. Put on your mask. I got mine. Put on your mask. Go out and vote. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. That's my story. Thank you for listening to me this evening.